everyone. We have with us Suparna Rai, who is the managing partner at GSR Legal. Today, she's going to talk with us on the topic role of legal counsel in legal compliance and corporate governance. Hi, Suparna. Thank you for your time. Could you please
Thank you so
introduce
much for inviting me.
could you please introduce yourself further to the audience?
Yes, sure. I have 23 years of experience, out of which I began my career with Mr. Arun Jaitley. Thereafter, I worked in several MNCs, including GlaxoSmithKline, DuPont, Max New York Life, Perfetti, legal firm called Link Legal, MetLife, and I wanted to get back into the courts. So I began my firm 3, 4 years back, and it's picking up, but it's picked up to quite an extent.
Okay, Suparna, thank you so much for your introduction. So, could you proceed with the topic of role of legal counsel in legal compliance and corporate governance?
Sure. Now, today we are discussing the role of legal counsels legal compliance and corporate governance, usually in corporates, are integrated into the same department. It's very rarely that compliance or corporate governance is separate because they're all interlinked. Now, today we are talking about legal counsels who are freshers and who want to join corporates, right from the beginning after their legal education. Now, very first thing I would like to say is that there are several things that you need to do. If people are listening to me, you can write it down. Otherwise, you can send me a mail and I can mail you back. One is that you have to create your profile of education in a manner so as to suit the corporate world. Because in litigation, there is a sort of aggression which is involved. But as far as corporate jobs are concerned, you have to be very careful about your profile. And the other thing is that when you log into, Monster India or Naukri India or several India sites which have opened, then you create your profile of education in a manner and expertise in a manner so as where you would like to go. There are some people who would like to go into insurance, some people would like to go into pesticides and insecticides, some people would like to go into consumer healthcare. Now, there's certain things which are common, like contracts, drafting, intellectual property, and things like that. But when you create a profile and you get response from one of the job portals, then you have to build in your profile and education, especially your expertise in particularly in those networks. Any questions?
Not yet, Suparna. You could proceed.
Okay. Now, as a fresh law graduate, there is very little chance that you will be taken at a middle level, or never any chance that you will be taken at a senior level. So, you have to understand that you have to start reporting right from the bottom, if you're lucky, maybe a couple of steps ahead. But you have to be careful that there'll be several bosses above you, including the manager, senior manager, general manager, company secretary, director. Plus, if you are working in multinationals, you will also be responsible to answer people outside of India who are not familiar with Indian law. So you have to be, as far as India is concerned, or this part of the world is concerned, there the kind of work culture that we follow is very different from the work culture that people follow in the West. So there is, you have to keep your Indian bosses and the people you're indirectly reporting to outside of the country on the same page, which is a difficult task because in India, as we all know, things don't get done easily, but you have to find ways and means possible to keep the company safe, maybe hire consultants to do your licensing work and do work with government departments to get their clearances and draft out the appropriate agreements to uh, keep yourself and your company and your parent company safe. Now, ahead of the job that you're going to get, your client or your job portal is going to appraise you of the interview, including the date, time, and the person who's going to interview, and will also give you a brief background of the company. Now, if you're interested in the company, then it is advisable that you do some search on the company and the kind of job it handles and how it handles it. If you're not interested, then you can just forget about it. Now, the other important thing is that when you talk to your job portals, please find out the compensation package that they are offering you and try and verify it with other job portals, individuals, and companies if you know any. In this case, it is very important that you don't get into argument with any of them if you feel it is not enough compensation, but you can very gently and in a very professional manner let your agents handle it and let them know what your adequate compensation should be in consonance with the job market. When you talk to your clients who are offering you a job through job portals or directly from the company, make it a point before your interview to know your entire job responsibilities, whether you will be just a legal counsel, whether you will be a legal counsel come compliance, or whether it's going to be all three: legal, compliance, and corporate governance, which means a lot of work. Which means a lot of work, in which case your compensation amount should thereby increase, considering that you will be handling three portfolios at one time. Now, in my job experience, I've seen that legal being a support function and not one of the main functions, uh, the legal people involved in a company are kept at a minimum because they don't want to pay too many people. In which case, it's very important to find out your job responsibilities and then negotiate your compensation accordingly. Now, if you're responsible only for legal, then you will be responsible for all the acts in general, central and state, and you will also be required to understand the rules and regulations and the amendments which come in from time to time. If you're in private sector, it's different. If you're in public sector, it's much more complicated. Compliance will be a very difficult job. I'll talk about it a little later. And corporate governance is not that much difficult as compliance because corporate governance has certain policies which are mandatory for governments, like sexual harassment, etc. But there are some policies which relate to, giving of gifts, which relate to, paying bribes, which relate to ethics. So this is something which you, in addition, have to comply with. As far we were on the people who are going to give you job responsibilities. This I just took off on legal counsel, legal compliance, and corporate governance. Let me go step by step. When you find out from the job portal where your interview is, who's going to be interviewing you, whether it's going to be your boss or whether it's going to be multiple people. It's important when you go for an interview, you keep your body language very relaxed and your mind very relaxed. If you show any kind of tension or anxiety, that person, because you don't know who that person is, will very easily be able to gauge you. He is your senior. Also, it's very important to maintain an eye-to-eye contact with the person who's interviewing you or the multiple people who are interviewing you. Turn by turn, you keep an eye contact with them, keep a pleasant voice, be relaxed, and your demeanor should be very pleasant. Um, a little firm, but not very firm because they don't want people who are people pleasers. They want people who are firm in their job, who know their job. But if anybody turns out to be very aggressive in their manner, it can go against them. Do not try to overplease your interviewer or interviewers as you do not know him or them or their mindset. You don't have any idea about their ego inflation. So, even if you have to make a contrary point to what they are saying, do it in a firm, but more than that, a pleasing manner. It's very important that you not be unwary and you appear confident in your stand. Just in case you're wrong, in case of evidence to the contrary, be polite, but at the same time, don't go overboard apologizing. Uh, You may be asked to answer specifics of any law. For instance, in one of the interviews that I gave in DuPont, I was asked to quote Section 82 of the Indian Contract Act. Now, at the same time, I told my boss that as there are hundreds and thousands of acts here, and Contract Act, no doubt about it, is an important act, but at the same time, without having the section in front of me, I cannot engage into a meaningful conversation with you. I kindly request you to put the section in front of me and then let's have a meaningful dialogue. You may have a contrary point of view, I may have a contrary point of view, but we can discuss it further. That's just one example. It can be the constitution, it can be the specific performance, it can be any act. Now, it's very difficult, in fact, almost impossible to verbatim each and every section of each and every act. So, that's a practical thing to do. Now, once you have a client set up an interview and an interview already having taken place, do not follow up again and again with the company. Even if you follow up with the client once in a while, because if you show too much of keenness, it will decrease your market value and they will further bring down your compensation. I missed out one thing. Just in case you are asked to answer specific sections of any law, do not panic. The simple answer to this is that Indian laws are too many and there are too many amendments taking place from time to time, so that it's very difficult for any person to answer section by section. Therefore, kindly reproduce the act and we can have a meaningful dialogue. Now, you may be asked to accompany the legal bosses who are your seniors for meetings to present the actual point of view as you are doing the groundwork and all the spade with not just your manager, senior directors, but at the same time the CEO as well, including people who are based out of the country in other parts of the world. They want to know exactly what the ground situation is and how they're handling it. Your bosses may not be able to give an effective answer as much as you will be able to give it. Karima, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Karima?
you. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. So, in you may be asked to attend, high-profile meetings, and in the same manner, be firm, friendly, keep a cool demeanor, but make your point across. It may be good while in law college to take this time off to hone in your drafting skills from now onwards, because drafting agreements is a very essential part of a corporate legal job. They don't normally outsource it, they expect you to do it. And you have to be very, very careful about drafting, because some drafts are simple, like consultancy agreements, employment agreements, but things like venture capital agreements, are very difficult. So you need technical language for it. So it'll be good for the students concerned to try and start and building up on your drafting skills from now onwards while you are still in law college. Just a moment, I'm turning the page. Now, as one of the people who are going to be doing the groundwork and doing the litigation, you will be required frequently to visit law firms and courts. Now, in many cases, in my experience, I have found that law firms do not do that much of a great job as much as they charge. So, considering that the litigation, drafting, and filing is done through them, but at the same time, in case you do want to do justice to the company, and if you want that the company recognizes you and gives you, a high profile ranking, which is done once in a year formally, but can be done at any time, um, then it's very essential that you take a personal interest in the litigation and the filing of the litigation and do your legal research in addition to what the firm is doing. At the same time, whether you're dealing with the corporates or you're dealing with the law firms or individual lawyers or liaison officer, public relations in a corporate is an essential. Aggression does not pay, public relation pays. Be and engage in frequent departments with other departments, especially like key departments, like the CEO, if he calls you, finance, sales, marketing, R&D are examples of very key departments with which you have to work in close association. Finance will ask you from time to time advice and will ask you to take over their litigation and handle it. As far as sales is concerned, when you're doing compliance, it is not a great idea to travel from one place to the other, from one place to other, all over India. It adds to the costs. So when you keep key sales personnel in contact, then you get a feedback from them as to what are the compliances which they are following, mandatory / optional, and which are missing. Now, in which case, an Excel sheet can be made by the legal department and all the relevant acts pertaining to the company can be put into the Excel sheet, and we gave a time frame to them, once in 3 months or 4 months. Compliances are normally necessary once in 6 months, some are necessary once a year. So you give them sufficient time to revert as to what has been done, what has not been done, so that you can check and get back to them and get it done in place. Otherwise, what happens is that your sales takes a hit. The market, the depot department, the sales office is shut down, and there are severe losses. Marketing is very, very essential because what happens is that marketing normally views legal as a roadblock. So, to get into friendly terms with marketing, and what marketing usually does is, I found in my experiences, that they come up with something full and final. They don't tell you what it is, and at the moment they put it on your table and ask for your sign off as a legal sign off, which is a procedural matter. Now, as and when you tell them that this is not possible, at that time they've already spent a lot of money in advertising and making the entire market strategy as well as time and effort and etc. And they don't take it kindly. So what happens is that if you build up a relation with marketing or R&D as well, who are doing the antitrust matters, then they are in a comfortable position to invite you as one of the persons when they are in preliminary discussions with uh, other people in strategizing their marketing uh, in their marketing strategy. So before they can take a final call, you can already inform them what are the do's, what are the don'ts, what are the high risks, what are the low risks, and what are the gray areas. Make it a point to circulate your mobile number at all times to all people, and as much as you can, except odd timings, answer calls. You never know which is an urgent call and who is calling. Um, in my experience, I worked with several American companies, and because of the time difference, when it's our night time, it's their daytime. So I've had calls, conference calls, starting at 2:30 a.m., 3:30 a.m., and one of the mandates of DuPont was that your mobile number will never be switched off. That doesn't happen in every company. It only happened in DuPont. But even if you miss a call, immediately call back as and when you can so that you know whether it's urgent, how urgent it is, and what is the work that requires to be done. In the event you are selected as a job in the company, take very little time, minimum time as possible, to identify the key decision makers. Some of the decision makers I've already given you as an example. CEO is too senior, but finance, sale, marketing, R&D are just examples. Legal, bosses, and there'll be IT department, there'll be various other departments. Read up well in advance the compulsory laws, rules, and regulations applicable to a corporate, private limited, or public limited. Because before you go for the interview, you should be prepared. Uh, uh, you can't anticipate what questions they will ask, but you should be prepared that there are some basic questions to which I should have knowledge. As far as corporate governance is concerned, you can make a checklist which I've already said it can be done in an Excel sheet, which is convenient because you just keep on updating it and you just keep on sending it at the relevant time and getting a feedback. If you don't get a feedback, you can always complain to your bosses. Uh, in the same thing, learn how to design an Excel dashboard for conducting corporate governance. How to create a process to ensure data collection from different departments all over India. This I've already told you that you need to get in touch with not only the sales in the market who are aware of what is going on in the market, but various depots, departments, manufacturing sites, etc., all over India, so that you save costs, stay in the company, stay on the job, do what you have to on an everyday basis, but keep a check as to what is going on in other places in India. Give a timeline to various verticals like finance, sale, marketing, R&D, IT, or whatever examples I've given you. Give them very timely manner in which they have to report back to you so that you can take this forward in a timely manner. If not with your boss, as a junior, it will necessarily concern your boss, and ensure that all compliances are time bound, because if some are not, then the business will suffer, and one of the people who will be the first to part the company will be the most junior person. Same thing, annually, quarterly, and monthly compliance reporting is a matter that when you start a corporate governance checklist, you'll get an idea of uh, how this is to be done. For example, I would tell you that in the reception area, you need to have, I'm forgetting right now, uh, you need to have a certificate saying that, prominently displayed in a small manner, not too big, this much, as far as big as your computer, saying that, what kind of professional services and stuff you are engaging in. So these things are something which legal needs to look into. Now, it's not possible for one person or a couple of people in a junior level to execute compliance at all levels, particularly all over India. So, training, imparting training to other personnel is important. Training modules have to be developed. They can be developed by the help of others, and training can be given by professionals as and when they are free, in maybe not in too long a list, maybe 20 to 25 at a time, concerning various departments, marketing, sales, IT, this, that, so that all over a timely period, people, at least in majority, come to know what legal actually means and how important it is for legal to be a support function to run a company successfully and earn a lot of profits. When you're talking to other verticals, like sales, marketing, finance, or whatever, do not use technical language. Don't try to quote sections. Simple for people to understand what you're trying to say. If you make it too technical, it'll go over their heads. All they need to understand is the do's and don'ts, the black and whites, and the gray areas. And the risk assessment is something which you can help them with, but the final call will be with your bosses who are heading the verticals and not as you as a junior. In the event that there is some unforeseen risk and they identify it, try and make contingency plans to overcome it to the best of your ability. If you cannot do it on your own, seek help from professionals who can help you, law firm individuals, lawyers, other people. Strategy planning for yourself and for the company is important. For yourself to ensure your job, for your company to avoid as much as litigation as possible, because litigation, we all know, is both time consuming and very expensive. And in the event of an interim stay order, if it is issued, the business comes to a partial or a complete halt, which leads to losses, and again, you will be the person who will be the first target. You have to, as I said, hone in your drafting skills, which include notices, drafting, agreements, etc. Then there are common issues. Collection of essential information requiring the particular corporate you have chosen, whether it's healthcare, insurance, pesticides, or other companies. Each one has essential informations which are different, and some have others which are arbitration, ADR, settlement of disputes, confidentiality, etc., which are common. But the other key informations are different. So, as in when you choose your company, be careful that you at least get a very good, or at least a good idea about the essential information together with the common information like contracts, IPRs, and all that, which are easily available, um, including how to conduct regulatory raids, um, how to identify people who are into identifying piracy, counterfeits, which can include your sales. That's why training to sales is important, because they are in the market. But there may be others who may inform you, who are professionals, who may inform you about what is going on in the market. So you need to take timely action against them, because delay would mean that you stand to lose in the process as far as the case is concerned. Then there may be false claims by competitors. For example, I will give you a short example, I worked in both companies. Horlicks, I've not worked in Complan, I worked in Horlicks, GlaxoSmithKline, but we were fighting a major litigation with Complan. Unfortunately, I left Horlicks, so I don't know how it's still going on. But both the advertisements are still going on in TV that Horlicks makes you taller, it makes you sharper, it makes your brain better. Complan says the data says the same thing. Now, these are false claims. Now, as a legal person, you have to be very well aware of the fact that there's something known as puffing up. Puffing up means that you make your product so attractive to the consumers that they go and buy it. But at the same time, you're forbidden from making false claims, misleading the consumers. Because tomorrow, what happens is that consumer forums have also become very active over a period of time. And if there is a consumer threat and if there is a stay order, then the entire product is stopped, which means a very big loss to the company. So take all necessary precautions to ensure that this does not happen, which includes making your verticals well aware of the risks involved in doing so, particularly marketing, sales, and all, who are very, very keen to make it as attractive as possible for the consumers to buy. And they don't really understand the difference between, puffing up and making a product attractive and making false claims on the matter. Now, make your manager or your multiple managers and the verticals in other departments your strong ally, because they must treat you as a person who has trust, faith in your ability, and who is sure that you are not there to block their progress. In fact, you are there to assist them in growing their business. As far as ethics training is concerned, that's another thing that you can do, which is not always going all over pan India and like compliance and stuff like that. But ethics training modules can be prepared online, and they can also be prepared by the juniors with their bosses and be circulated all over the company, so that tomorrow nobody comes up and says, I wasn't aware of it. That's why I gave a bribe, that's why I gave a gift, that's why, I did whatever I had to do. So it's very important that the ethics should also be taken care of. In all cases, maintain confidentiality, which does not just mean confidentiality as a clause in an agreement, but also includes confidentiality between two or three people or four people or whoever are in a group who are talking together and discussing something together, and that should not be put into public domain. The other thing is manage conflicts of interest. Do not do anything which or can hamper your company. And in case you're not sure, take timely intervention, consult your seniors. And as you do so, Okay, I'll come to that later. Amend policies as and when the amends take place and disperse the relevant information as per the amendments, like in legal, compliance, uh, ethics, to all the stakeholders, that's verticals, who will be responsible for uh, taking it downwards to their juniors. One of an effective remedy is to create an interactive dashboard within legal. If people have some questions, they can come back to you for some answers. Simple questions, they can come back to you with an answer which you can give them. Now, one of the important things which I have missed out, I must say, that whatever you advise to anybody, don't do it just verbally. In case you have to do it verbally in a meeting, come back, put it in an email as discussed, so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so, we are in agreement. This is what I've said, this is what you have said, and archive the email so that tomorrow, if there's any problem, you have proof that you did not in any manner mislead any person. These are for freshers. Any questions by
Yeah.
anyone?
Yeah, thank you, Suparna. So I have a question. In the beginning, you said that while you're giving an interview, you should not say a yes to everything, but like the general attitude people carry when they're going to give an interview is that if I say a no, I might not crack this interview. So how do?
No, no. I did not say a clear no. I did not even say yes to everything. Don't even say clear no. What I said was be diplomatic. Suppose somebody asks me or tells me a very wrong question. I have no option but to say this is not the correct answer. But at the same time, I have to do it in a manner that keeps my public relations with my interview intact.
Okay. I got.
Otherwise, I will seem as a very argumentative, aggressive, troublemaker person.
Yeah.
And there's no way I'll be considered for the job. So
Okay, got that.
some people are not all, I can't vouch for all, but some people do appreciate honest answers, but said in the right manner. And at the same time, like I said, that you can't have a right manner if you're anxious, angry, worried, and in a disturbed mindset. So it's very important to keep yourself relaxed. It's not the end of the day. If not this job, you'll get another job. It's not the end of the day. So these are some of things that you should keep in mind. And one of the things which I said, that this is for freshers. So they have some time still, or maybe they're just out of college, but they're still out of they have some time to start, on their drafting agreement notices skills. Plus, also read up on relevant laws, some of which are common, some of which are company specific. So the common ones should be the ones that one should, keep an eye on. Not section by section you quote, like I said, it's not possible, but overall general picture one should have.
Okay. So the next question is that if something is not working, you said that make a contingency plan about it. So how good is it to involve your own boss in making this plan?
It's very important to involve your own boss because, as I said, as a fresher, in all probability, you begin at the most junior level. If you're lucky, maybe one level bigger than that. So there'll be several people who will be ahead of you, the director, general manager, senior manager, etc. So, whoever you're reporting to, when you get a job, your appointment letter will clearly specify who you are directly reporting to. So, you have to give a contingency plan to the person you are reporting to. At the same time, it's a good idea to keep the others in an informal loop because tomorrow, the person you're reporting to might change and the one who's junior might take over. So it's good to have good relations with everyone. But if your boss says, keep it between you and me, then that's confidential. Then you
Okay.
keep it between the two of you. But if he has no objections to the other or a couple of involved because he wants various opinions, then leave it to him. He will figure it out. Ask him, let him know his answer, and he will be the one who will be asking the other people to join in, not you. They will not listen to you as a junior, they will listen to the person right at the top.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, and the last question is that you said that learn to design a dashboard for corporate governance. So could you explain that point a little?
See, corporate governance, like I said, includes certain policies which are mandatory, include certain policies like ethics, bribes, etc., which are company. Uh, uh, Almost all company follows. Some follow only on paper. Some follow strictly, especially MNCs. So they
Okay.
already have an ethics bribe policy in place, you can cut paste. But if you don't have it, then you can make it, or you can hire professionals to make it for you, to make your job easier. Because let me tell you, right at the beginning, I said that legal being a support function is normally not a very large department. They get 3 to 4, maximum 5 people. One paralegal, one company secretary, 2 to 3 people. You're the boss. A couple of people will be, uh, under you. Now, in which case, the day-to-day jobs which you have to do, agreements, notices, urgencies, meetings which you will be required to uh, uh, take part of. So, some of these may not be possible for just 1 or 2 people to handle. In which case, one option is do it yourself if you can. If you cannot manage it, then talk to your boss about it and get it done by professionals. Personally, my advice is do not go to these high fi big professionals who charge a lot and make, you know, I'm sorry to say, make quite a mess out of it and don't do such a good job. Be careful in hiring your lawyers and make them do their job, but at the same time, verify what they're doing. And if you have any questions, go back to them and clear it with them.
Thank you, Suparna.